Are we on? Are we on camera? Yes, we're on. Well, good morning. What a beautiful morning. I mean, the sun is shining. Apparently it's shining over most of the entire country, which is like fantastic. So it's, yeah, brilliant. I just have to say something first about Eucaryl toothpaste. It wasn't Gavin that gave me the tip on the Eucaryl toothpaste. Apparently it was Vermilion Hue. So I got it wrong yet again. But you all know me, I always get things wrong. So thank you very much, Hugh, for the tip on the Eucaryl toothpaste. We'll be using it always now. It was fantastic. I think it gives the figures a better, just a bit of key to accept the primer, which was good. The primer seemed to take better, so that was nice. So we'll be using that from now on. Yeah, I'm always getting things wrong, but you know me by now. I mean, it's just, I'm sure it's a byproduct of the sort of ME and fibromyalgia and stuff that does your memory no good at all, and slows your thought processes, and you notice that I have to think a lot of the time before I say something, because it's just what it does to you. You know what I mean? It's just crap. But I'm not going to get into that anyway. That's so our 46 South Devons. I've just started. What have I started doing? Just started doing the highlights. I've blocked in most of the main colors, as you can see. So I've just started doing the highlights on the breeches, trousers, whatever you want to call them. Well, that's bugler, a nice bugler. So they're coming along. So hopefully today I'm going to give them a good thrashing today. These figures are by Eschi or Eski, whatever way you want to pronounce it. There's our drummer, and what I like about the drummer is they've done it as a boy as opposed to just another figure. So we have a boy for the drummer. So that's nice. And you'll notice that I've done the jacket green, even though the South Devons have yellow facings, because we said in one of our previous videos that the last battalion we did the jacket yellow and it should have been green. So I'm doing this green when it should be yellow. So we'll swap the two over. We'll just exchange the two, and then each battalion will be right then, if you see what I mean. So that's our drummer. So our standard bearer with pole fitted. I mean, this was one of those figures with the holding the rifle butt upwards. I can't imagine what they think that guy is supposed to be doing. Clubbing somebody to death with the butt of his rifle. I really don't know. I really don't know. So we had two of them. So that's as far as we have got. So that's nice, that's good. So hopefully today have a crack at them and get a lot of the highlighting done, despite the fact that it's a beautiful day out. It really is gorgeous. So, and here's another thing I'm going to do for you whilst I'm here. I got these in the post. Zvezda French Old Guard. So I thought I'd do a quick review on these Zvezda Old Guard. I do have a box of French cuirassiers as well by Zvezda, but they're at the parcels office waiting for me to pick them up. So, and tomorrow's a bank holiday, and so we'll get them when we get them. But zvezda French cuirassiers are supposed to be really, really nice. And what I've seen of them in little videos on YouTube, they do look really nice. Better than the Airfix French cuirassiers. So let's have a look at these French Imperial Old Guard Grenadiers, 1804 to 1815. The usual nicely decorated box by Zvezda, and on the back showing you what you get. This box, I can tell you, this box on the Plastic Soldier Review website scored over 45 out of 50, which was, as I always say to you, I like that website a lot. If you want to buy a box of figures, a particular box of figures, go on there. You can see exactly what's in the box, and how they rate the figures, and they score them in, I think it's 5 different categories: historical accuracy, mold quality, blah blah blah. So they get scored 10 points per category, so out of 50. And I like that site a lot. So what I normally try and do is I try and get, I try and get 2 battalions out of a box of figures, because normally boxes contain sort of 45, 46, 47, even some like 48 figures, depending on which company and what box. So the way I personally, I can't speak for anybody else, we probably all have our own ways of making up battalions, but me, I take 16 figures, 1 officer, 17, in the case of the French, 1 flag, 18, and if possible 2 musicians, which is 20. So 21 in the case of British, because you have an extra flag. But anyway, let's, for the argument of this conversation, we'll say 20 figures per battalion. Somebody was actually asking, excuse me a minute, I'm going to have to clean these glasses. Somebody was asking a while back, asking Ringo, shit, look at that. Is that paint or what? Somebody was asking Ringo Simpkins how many figures there should be in a battalion, and he said it's actually not the amount of figures in a battalion, it's the frontage. When you have the figures sort of lined up, it's the frontage, the distance. That's a really interesting little video. I forget what the video was called now, but if you can seek it out, it's interesting when he talks about the frontage, and it's not necessarily the amount of figures per battalion. So that's a good video if you can find it. He's a good guy. He's well worth watching, Ringo Simpkins. But anyway, for the sake of our conversation, I normally have 16 figures, as I just said, plus officer, standard bearer, 2 musicians, which makes 20. Well, this box has 41 figures in it. There you go. 41. Which means that I should hopefully be able to get 2 battalions out of one box, which is what I like to do. I don't like to use sort of half a box, make a battalion, and then have a load of stuff left over that I'm not going to do anything with. Alright, if you've got so like 48 figures in a box, you've got 1 or 2 figures left over. You will have 1 or 2 figures left over. But those extra half dozen or whatever, they give you a little leeway normally with what figures you can put in to a battalion. But these figures you only have 41 in the box, so you can only really discard 1 figure if you're going to make 2 battalions out of this box, like I tend to do. But the problem I have with this box is, and I will show you, this guy here. Can you see that guy there? Yes, you can see that. It's highlighted against my face. Stood to attention, holding a rifle bolt upright. Now, what am I supposed to do with that, really? I mean, and another thing you'll notice with this pack is there are no figures kneeling, firing a rifle. In preference to that, they have gone with this guy stood to attention, holding a rifle bolt upright. Now, I personally would rather see half a dozen figures kneeling, firing a rifle. That guy stood to attention, holding the rifle upright, does nothing for me. And in a wargaming context, you know, what are you going to do with that figure on a wargaming table? I don't know. I don't know Zvezda's thinking behind that one, to give you 6 of them and no kneeling, firing a rifle. But, as we've just said, if we're going to make 2 battalions out of this one box, then we have to use those figures. We can't do anything else. So, one figure we can discard, so we can discard 1 of them. 1 we can use for standard bearer, just cut out the rifle, put in our usual pole. So that leaves 4 we're probably going to have to convert. Officer figure to standard bearer, and sorry, let's get my head right here. We've just converted 1 standard bearer, so there'll be 4 left. So we use an officer, 1 for an officer figure, 2 musicians, and probably a pioneer, what I call a pioneer. They call it a sapper on the box. I always call it a pioneer. There is 1, if I can find it, 1 pioneer in the box. I think there's only 1 pioneer, and I'm struggling to find it. I have to tell you with these figures, like the French elite infantry that we had, the backpacks are separate, so you have to put them on separately. I don't know whether to paint them separately or glue them on first and then paint them. I don't know what I'll do. Here we go. So here's our pioneer figure. Can you see that? Yeah. With arms that are separate. So somewhere there should be some arms here for this guy, or a arm for this guy. Oh, there he is. Arm holding an axe. So one of these stood to attention holding a rifle figures we could convert to a pioneer, and 2 musicians. It's all more work, and it would have been a lot simpler. It would have made my life a lot simpler if they'd have just put 6 kneeling figures in there firing a rifle. Why they didn't put any kneeling firing a rifle, I don't know. I don't know. But I will say, despite the gaudy blue plastic, which I absolutely hate, the detailing on these figures is beautiful. It's absolutely lovely. I mean, look at that guy with the flag there. Isn't that just beautiful? I mean, these are going to paint up really well. I look forward to seeing these with some undercoat on to get rid of the awful blue. And you have 2 musicians. You have a drummer and a guy there playing a fife, which is nice. And your officer figure, which is quite nice. So we're going to have to make an officer, 2 musicians, and a standard bearer, pioneer. Yeah, it can be done. It can be done. I mean, it's just more work. Just more work, and it needn't have been to get the 2nd battalion out of this box. But don't get me wrong, you know, lovely figures, beautifully molded, hardly any flash. I have a little sort of gripe at that figure there. He's got a little tiny pennant on his rifle. I mean, he's holding that rifle sort of in the crook of his elbow. I mean, sorry, but you're not going to march very far holding a 16-pound musket in the crook of your elbow. I'm sorry. Doesn't look like he has a strap over the shoulder. No, he doesn't. So he's just holding that 16-pound musket with the pennant in the crook of his elbow. I mean, no, sorry. Can't go with that one. But gotta say it, very nice figures. I mean, the flash is absolutely minimal. It's just... this guy, do we have, how many of these guys are there? Yeah, could get away with that as another command figure. Could get away with that fella. That's not too bad now looking at it. But yeah, very nice figures. Would I have given them 46 out of 50? No, probably not. And it's simply because they're let down by that figure there stood upright holding a rifle. I mean, you see, most people, alright, kids buy these and they just take them out to spray and play with them. That's one thing. But an awful lot of grown-ups that purchase these figures, you purchase them because you're going to go wargaming with them. You're going to paint them and wargame with them. That's why most of us do this hobby, because we're wargamers. So, what are you going to do with that figure in a wargaming context? Yeah, so that lets it down. But somebody may come back to me and say, well, what you could do with it, or what I would do with it is, or I make my battalions in a different way, so it doesn't matter. That's fine. But for me personally, I wouldn't ever use those figures, not really, but because I want a second battalion out of this box, and you're limited on the amount of figures you have to use them. I have to use them if I want a second battalion, or failing that, go and buy another box, I suppose. So yeah, and it all makes for more work, but still a very nice, don't get me wrong, still a very, very nice box of figures. Little bit of flash on them. There's a little bit of flather, you can see it on this figure here. Probably can't see it. Little bit of flash around the bearskin and the plume on the top. It's a little bit of flash, but it's a bare minimum, which is, it's always nice to see a bare minimum of flash on these things. And like I say, standard bearer there is absolutely lovely. I mean, that's just fantastic. And the eagle on the top is great. Nice command figure. Fife and drum and pioneer, which is nice to have the arm separate. That's nice because you can put that in any position you want, and it just varies it a little bit. If you buy another box and make another battalion, you can use that figure and vary the arm round. Just, it all makes it more interesting, varying things around. I mean, the detailing on the face, these figures, is lovely. I mean, so much better than like Airfix, like we used to have. I mean, these are just beautiful, beautiful. It's just let down a little bit by that, for me anyway, let down by that stupid figure there. So, very nice box of figures, beautifully detailed, minimum flash, well worth buying. Just an odd thing putting that figure in, and no kneeling and firing, which is a shame. But I assure you we will get 2 battalions out of this one box. It just makes me have to do a little more work. But there you go. That's it. So I'm going to crack on with these South Devons. When eventually we get our box of Zvezda Cuirassiers, we'll do a bit of a review on them. So, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Beautiful day, go and enjoy it. We'll see you on the next one.